Hi, it's Jacqueline or Galacticat, and today I'm setting up my March bullet journal. So here in Australia, we're heading into autumn, but I wasn't really feeling the autumn theme for March, so instead I went with sunflowers and bees. In the previous 2 months, I had a very cool colour theme. I had blues and pinks and purples and things like that, but I wanted something bright and cheerful for March, and I thought, what better colour than yellow? It seems to be my favourite colour at the moment, so yeah, I thought I would reflect that in my bullet journal this month. So basically, you're going to see me draw sunflowers and bees a lot of times during this video. Don't worry, I do skip some of them for you, but on the front page, I just thought I would show you my whole process and how I went about drawing each and every sunflower in this monthly spread. I did also keep the constellation theme that I had going for January and February as well, except I did it a lot smaller on this one so I could fit in my sunflower and bees theme as well. Something different I also did in this video was show you the process that I drew in pencil first, which I do for pretty much every bullet journal spread, but I tend to edit it out because I think it's a little bit boring, but because it is so much pencil work before I do the line work, I thought I would show that to you guys as well. On the next page is my usual monthly calendar, except this time I did it slightly different, and instead of doing it across 2 pages, I thought it would be an interesting and different idea to just do it on 1 page but do it in landscape. So I'm obviously decorating it with my beautiful sunflower drawings and then mapping out where I wanted the calendar to go. So yeah, it is a little bit different and it is a lot smaller, but we'll see how I go throughout the month of March and if I like it or not. You would have seen briefly on the front page, but I am colouring most of my sunflowers and putting little colour pops and accents in with my Senlia watercolour paints. So that's what you'll see me doing with the brush, although the paints are a little bit out of the shot. Also, this is a very thin paged bullet journal. As I've said previously in my other 2 bullet journal setups, I do not like this loish term. Oh my god, I probably say that wrong every single time. So yeah, I can only do the 1 layer of watercolor, otherwise it will just tear up the page. So usually my monthly calendar would go across the 2 pages, so I had to think of something to fill the space on the second page. And I thought a goals, notes and events section would maybe benefit me. I'm not too sure yet. Sometimes I'm really slack with my bullet journal and filling things out, so we'll see how this goes. But I thought I would do a big long sunflower, and each of the main leaves coming off of the stalk would be where I'd put each of the headings. And of course, I had to add a little bee. As I mentioned before, I am doing everything in pencil. I do tend to play things pretty safe if I'm not too sure exactly what I want to do. So you'll see all of that raw pencil outline first, and then I go over it with my Sharpie pen to outline it and erase the pencil after. This way, if I don't like something or how it looks when I put it down in pencil, I can change it pretty easily. But it really doesn't stop all the mistakes, because I make a few in this spread as well. As I said last time, it's pretty much going to be a theme that I'm going to make a mistake every month, and you guys have to pick up on what it is. But here's a hint, I haven't made a mistake yet. So as usual, I have to add in my income and expenses page, which I've usually called my spendings and earnings page, but I thought income and expenses sounded a little bit more fancy. This really helps me track what I've spent my money on for my business and where my money's coming from commissions and things like that. So it's a necessity to have this in there, and I wanted to kind of make it a little bit more interesting than I have done previously. I think this page is kind of boring until I fill it all in. Even after that, I'm not a maths person, I'm not a numbers person. So yeah, I wanted to make this page a little bit more bright and cheerful and interesting to look at when I have to do all the boring calculations and money stuff. So this page starts off pretty much the same as my previous 2 months, but I actually changed the top of it considering I already had a goals and notes section on my calendar page. I thought it would be interesting to do a drawing prompt. So you'll see me do that in a minute, and what my idea kind of is to leave a space to get my creative juices flowing. I really hate that saying, but you know. So what I did was I came up with a really obscure prompt. I did look for inspiration on the internet and kind of put together an amalgamation of ideas that I'd found, and I came up with a mushroom cat. So my goal for this month is to draw a mushroom cat in this little section. I'll film it and I'll show you guys in the next bullet journal setup how I go. But yeah, I thought it would be interesting considering this is for my business and my art and everything like that, to have something completely obscure and weird in there. And let me know what you think of this idea and if I should add it in my following months. Now, onto the weekly spread. I was pretty lucky because it's March and March started on a Sunday, and I like to start my weeks on a Sunday. So it was a pretty satisfying month to fill in. I did change it slightly from the previous 2 months. Instead of doing a 6 grid, I did an 8 grid. So instead of having to spread my days randomly across 2 pages, I could fit in an entire week into 1 page, which is going to be interesting for next month when the month doesn't start on a Sunday, because I've always had problems with where to start. I still don't know. I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but we'll figure something out. So instead of filling that final space with a day, I filled it with a reflection section. Haha, that rhymes. Yeah, so anyway, moving on. I highlighted each of the days of the week in a nice yellow that matched the same yellow I was using from the watercolor in my sunflowers. And then I used a green to tie in the heading of March with the stalk of the sunflower. I continue this yellow and green theme throughout the next couple of pages, filling out each week for March. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And you'll be able to see one of my mistakes in a second. But we fix it. It's fine. Everything's fine. So I keep everything pretty similar and uniform across the next few weeks. The only thing I really change is the font, just to keep things interesting, I suppose. And here's about where I realised where I smudged the watercolour, the wet watercolour, with my sleeve, and I had to clean that up a little bit. But lucky watercolour's pretty forgiving, and I could just mop that up with some paper towel. So for the last week of March, there's only 3 days. So I went back and forth on how I actually wanted to set this page out, but I ended up doing a more vertical view of the 3 days left instead of doing them across like I was before. Then I added some big, huge sunflowers, and I filled that blank space with my reflection part that I was putting in the previous weeks. So I didn't want to end the month on a blank page, and I didn't want to use this page to start the next month because I don't like the look of them kind of joining in together. I'm not sure why. I kind of like starting a new month on a completely blank double spread. So I filled this last page with a quote. I googled quotes of flowers and bees, and this is the one I thought fit most with my theme, and it's "The flower doesn't dream of the bee, it blossoms and the bee comes." So I mapped that out in my lead pencil just to make sure that I'm happy with the placement and the font that I'm using for each word. I like to switch things up and use different fonts when it comes to quotes like this. And then I added some, I don't know why, but little circles down the side. It kind of reminded me of when you have a lined piece of paper and it has the circles that you can put into a binder. I don't know, I just think it made the page look a little bit more interesting and cute, and I don't know, I really like this page. It makes me happy. I didn't add it on the page, but the author of this quote is a spiritual writer and poet called Mark Nepo. And that's it for my March bullet journal setup. This took me quite a long time with all those sunflowers, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. And I absolutely love having the quote page at the end. Let me know which page you liked the best, and if you have any other ideas you'd like to see me add into my bullet journal, please leave them in the comments section below and like this video.